The desperate cry of an injured wolf pup echoed through the dense pine forest as Lily Cooper knelt in the soft dirt, her skirt already stained with blood and soil. She was supposed to be gathering herbs for her mother's medicinal cabinet, but the whimpers had drawn her away from the path. Now, as she gently wrapped the animal's wounded paw in a strip torn from her petticoat, she knew she was late for dinner again. "You poor thing," she whispered, stroking the gray fur of the trembling creature. The pup had been caught in a cruel trap, its leg mangled but not beyond saving. "Let's get you home." Lily was 22, unmarried, and according to most folks in Pinewood Springs, Colorado, destined for spinsterhood with her peculiar ways. It was 1878, and while most women her age were raising babies, she was raising everything from foxes to falcons. The afternoon sun cast long shadows as Lily approached her family's modest homestead on the edge of town. Her mother, Martha Cooper, stood on the porch with arms crossed, her face a mixture of worry and resignation. "Another one, Lily," Martha sighed, eyeing the bundle in her daughter's arms. "He would have died, Mother." Lily strode past her into the house. "I'll keep him in the shed until he's healed." "Your father won't be pleased." Martha followed her inside. "This is the third animal this month." Lily carefully placed the wolf pup on a blanket by the fire. "Father hasn't been pleased with me since I turned down Thomas Miller's proposal last spring." "He was a good match," her mother reminded her. "He wanted me to stop caring for the animals." Lily's voice hardened as she gathered supplies from her mother's medicine cabinet. "Said it wasn't proper for a lady to have hands dirty with animal blood." "People talk, Lily. They say it's unnatural the way you take to wild things." Lily didn't respond. She'd heard it all before, whispers that she was odd, perhaps touched in the head. But the thought of turning away from a suffering creature seemed far more unnatural to her than any healing she might provide. By the time her father returned from the general store, Lily had cleaned the pup's wound, set the broken bone, and made a splint from twigs and twine. The wolf was sleeping peacefully in a box lined with hay in the shed behind their house. "What's this I hear about another stray?" George Cooper's voice boomed through the small house. "Mrs. Patterson saw you carrying something into the yard." Lily wiped her hands on her apron. "A wolf pup." "His leg was caught in a trap." "A wolf," her father's face reddened. "Have you lost your mind, girl? Ranchers around here shoot wolves on sight." "He's just a baby," Lily argued. "He can't hurt anyone. He'll grow into a predator. You bring danger to our doorstep with your foolishness." He slammed his hand on the table. "This ends now. Tomorrow you'll dispatch that beast, or I will." "I won't kill him." Lily stood her ground, though her heart raced. "I won't." "Then you're no daughter of mine," her mother gasped. "George, I mean it, Martha. I've indulged her long enough." He turned back to Lily. "You have until sundown tomorrow to rid us of that wolf and any other creatures you've got hidden away, or you'll find yourself without a home." That night, Lily barely slept. She crept out to check on the wolf pup several times, her mind racing with possibilities. By morning, she knew what she had to do. Dawn had barely broken when she began packing her few possessions. 2 dresses, a shawl, her mother's old medical book, and the small box of herbs and tinctures she'd collected. She scribbled a note for her parents, left it on her bed, and slipped out to the shed. The wolf pup was awake, his amber eyes watching her warily as she approached. "We're going on a journey, little one," she whispered, carefully lifting him and the box he rested in. She had 5 other animals under her care: 3 orphaned rabbits, an injured hawk with a broken wing, and a fox kit abandoned by its mother. She gathered them all, securing them in makeshift carriers. Lily had just finished loading her wagon, borrowed without permission from her father's barn, when her mother came rushing out in her nightdress. "Lily, what are you doing?" "What I must." Lily didn't turn around, afraid her resolve would crumble at the sight of her mother's tears. "Where will you go?" Martha's voice trembled. "I don't know yet. West, I suppose. There's more wilderness there, room for creatures that don't fit neatly into town life." Including herself, though she didn't say it aloud. "Take this." Martha pressed a small pouch into her hand. "It's not much, but it might help until you find your place." Lily felt the weight of coins inside and finally looked at her mother. "Thank you. Be careful, daughter." Martha embraced her fiercely. "The world is not always kind to women alone." With a final goodbye, Lily set off as the town was just beginning to stir. She headed west along the old trading route, unsure of her destination but certain she couldn't stay. For 3 days, she traveled, stopping to rest the horse and care for her menagerie. The wolf pup, whom she'd named Shadow, was improving daily, taking small pieces of jerky from her hand. The other animals remained in their carriers, but she made sure to let them out during breaks to stretch and feed. On the 4th day, dark clouds gathered on the horizon. Lily knew she needed to find shelter before the storm hit. As rain began to fall, she spotted a ranch in the distance, a large barn and a modest house with smoke curling from the chimney. By the time she reached the property, the rain had soaked through her clothes, and she was shivering. She drew the wagon up to the house and climbed down, pulling her shawl tight around her shoulders. The door opened before she could knock, revealing a tall man with broad shoulders and eyes the color of the stormy sky. He wore a dusty hat and had a day's worth of stubble on his jaw. "Can I help you, miss?" His voice was deep but gentle. "I'm sorry to intrude," Lily said, water dripping from her bonnet. "I was caught in the storm and was hoping I might use your barn for shelter until it passes." The man stepped onto the porch, his gaze moving to the wagon behind her. "You traveling alone?" "Not exactly." She hesitated, then decided honesty was best. "I have some animals with me." "Animals?" His eyebrow raised. "What kind?" "Injured ones, mostly. I'm helping them heal." The man studied her for a moment, then nodded. "The storm's getting worse." "You'd better come inside, miss." "Cooper, Lily Cooper." She extended her hand. "Finn Patterson." He shook it firmly. "Let me help you with your wagon." Finn led the horse and wagon to the barn, with Lily hurrying alongside, explaining about each animal's condition. To her surprise, he listened attentively, asking questions about their care. "You seem to know a lot about treating animals," she observed. "I was raised on this ranch. You learn to doctor all kinds of creatures when the nearest veterinarian is a 2-day ride." He opened the barn door. "Let's get them settled." Together, they unloaded the animals, setting up a makeshift shelter within the barn. Finn provided fresh hay and water, even finding an old crate that worked perfectly for the rabbits. "The wolf pup concerns me," he admitted, watching Shadow lap water from a bowl. "Ranchers around here, I know," Lily interrupted. "They shoot wolves. That's partly why I left home." Finn looked at her curiously. "What's the whole story, Miss Cooper?" Inside the warm kitchen of the ranch house, Lily explained everything: her history of rescuing animals, her father's ultimatum, her uncertain journey west. "So you were banished for taking in strays," Finn summarized, placing a steaming cup of coffee before her. "That's one way to put it." She wrapped her cold hands around the mug. "Where were you heading?" "I don't really know. Somewhere I can live peacefully with my animals without causing trouble." Finn was quiet for a moment, staring into his own coffee. "That might be harder than you think. Most settlements have strong opinions about wild animals." "I've noticed," Lily sighed. "I was hoping to find a place far enough from town that it wouldn't matter. Land like that is hard to come by these days, especially for a woman alone." His eyes met hers. "How do you plan to support yourself?" "I know herbs and medicines. I thought I might offer my services as a healer where doctors are scarce." Finn nodded thoughtfully. "Not a bad idea. We don't have a proper doctor within 50 miles. The storm raged outside, rain lashing against the windows as they talked. Lily learned that Finn had inherited the ranch from his father 2 years ago. He ran cattle on the northern pastures and horses in the south. It was a lot for one man, but he managed with the help of 2 ranch hands who lived in a bunkhouse beyond the barn. "I should check on the animals," Lily said when they'd finished eating the simple stew Finn had prepared. "I'll come with you." In the barn, they found all the creatures settling in well. Shadow's splint had shifted slightly, and Lily adjusted it with practiced hands. "You're good at this," Finn observed. "I've had plenty of practice." She stroked the wolf pup's head. "My mother taught me about herbs and healing. She said I had a gift for it. Seems she was right." Finn leaned against a post, watching her work. "Listen, Miss Cooper, please call me Lily." "Lily, then." He smiled, and she noticed how it softened his weathered face. "The storm set in for the night. You're welcome to stay in the house. There's a spare room my sister uses when she visits." "That's very kind, but I can sleep out here with the animals." "I insist." His tone brooked no argument. It's no place for a lady to sleep. Lily wanted to protest that she was hardly a conventional lady, but exhaustion won out. She nodded gratefully and followed him back to the house. The spare room was small but comfortable, with a quilt-covered bed and a small window overlooking the eastern pasture. Finn lent her one of his sister's nightgowns, and Lily fell asleep to the sound of rain on the roof, feeling safer than she had in days. Morning brought clear skies and birdsong. Lily woke early, dressed quickly, and headed to the barn to check on her patients. She found Finn already there, feeding carrots to the rabbits. "They're lively this morning," he said with a smile. "The little brown one tried to escape twice. That's trouble. He lives up to his name." Lily knelt beside the wolf pup, who greeted her with a gentle lick to her hand. "I've been thinking," Finn said, watching her check Shadow's splint. "My ranch is large, over 1,000 acres. Much of the eastern section is wooded and backs up to national forest. It would be a good place for recovering animals to transition back to the wild." Lily looked up, surprised. "What are you suggesting?" "There's an old trapper's cabin about a mile from here near the creek. It needs work, but it could be a good place for you and your patients." "You'd let me stay?" She couldn't hide her astonishment. "A stranger with a collection of wild animals. You don't strike me as dangerous." His eyes crinkled at the corners. "And I could use someone with your healing skills around here. My ranch hands are forever getting themselves injured." "I don't know what to say. Say you'll consider it." Finn straightened up. "At least until your wolf is healed enough to release." Lily agreed to visit the cabin that afternoon. After breakfast, Finn saddled 2 horses and they rode east across rolling pastures. The cabin stood in a small clearing, surrounded by pines and aspens. It was rustic but sturdy, with a stone chimney and a small porch. Inside was a single room with a fireplace, a rough-hewn table, and a bed frame without a mattress. Dust and cobwebs covered everything, but Lily immediately saw the potential. "It's perfect," she breathed. "But I couldn't impose. It's not an imposition if you're working for it," Finn countered. "I meant what I said about needing a healer. And I could help you build proper enclosures for the animals." "Why would you do this for me?" Finn's gaze was steady. "Maybe I understand what it's like to care for creatures others would discard." They spent the next few days cleaning the cabin and making it habitable. Finn brought over a mattress and linens, repaired the leaking roof, and cleared the chimney of nests. Lily scrubbed floors and windows, arranged her meager possessions, and created a makeshift dispensary on a shelf by the fireplace. The animals were moved to the cabin once it was ready. Finn and his ranch hands helped construct a series of pens and enclosures around the clearing, a large one for Shadow as he grew stronger, smaller ones for the rabbits and fox, and a tall cage for the hawk. Lily quickly fell into a routine. Mornings were spent caring for her animals, afternoons gathering herbs from the surrounding forest or treating minor injuries at the ranch. Evenings often found her at Finn's table, sharing meals and stories as their friendship deepened. She discovered that, beneath his quiet exterior, Finn was thoughtful and kind. He spoke to his horses in gentle tones, treated his ranch hands with respect, and never rushed an injured animal's treatment. He listened when she talked about her dreams of someday having a proper wildlife sanctuary. Summer turned to autumn. Shadow grew rapidly, his leg healing well, though he still favored it slightly. The hawk, whom Lily had named Grace, was flying short distances now. 2 of the rabbits had been successfully released, though trouble remained, having grown too accustomed to human care. One crisp October evening, Lily was mixing a poultice for one of the ranch hands who'd been kicked by a horse when Finn appeared at her door. "Supper's ready if you're hungry," he said, leaning against the doorframe. "I'll be right there, just finishing this up." "You've been a blessing to this ranch," Finn said, watching her work. "Jim would have been laid up for weeks without your treatment. It's the least I could do, considering your generosity." Finn stepped inside, closing the door against the chill. "It's not generosity, Lily, it's—" He hesitated. "You bring something special to this place." She felt her cheeks warm. Over the months, she'd grown increasingly aware of Finn, his strong hands, the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled, how he hummed softly when working with his horses. "I've been meaning to tell you," he continued. "Shadow's getting stronger every day. Soon he'll need to join a pack or strike out on his own." The thought of releasing Shadow brought both pride and sadness. I know, I've been preparing myself. It's never easy to let them go. His voice was gentle, but it's a sign you've done right by them. Is that how you felt when your sister left for Denver? Different kind of wild creature, Finn chuckled. But yes, same principle. At supper that night, they were interrupted by frantic knocking. One of the ranch hands burst in, breathless. Fire, boss, lightning struck the north pasture fence. Flames are spreading fast toward the forest. They rushed outside to see an orange glow on the horizon. Finn immediately began shouting orders, organizing the men to bring water from the well and creek. My animals, Lily cried, realizing the fire was heading toward her cabin. We'll get them, Finn assured her. Take 2 men in the wagon, get everything you can to safety. The next hours passed in a blur of smoke, heat, and desperate action. Lily and the ranch hands evacuated all her animals, bringing them to the main ranch house. Meanwhile, Finn led efforts to dig fire breaks and douse the advancing flames. Near dawn, the fire was finally contained, though it had burned through a large section of forest. Exhausted, covered in soot, Lily sat on the porch steps watching the sunrise through the haze of smoke. Finn found her there, his face blackened, eyes red from smoke. Everyone's safe, he said, collapsing beside her. The cabin too, though it was close. Relief washed over her. Thank you, I couldn't have saved them alone. We'll shelter them all beneath our roof until it's safe to return them, he promised. Something in his tone made her look up. Our roof. Finn took her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. I've been thinking, Lily Cooper. This ranch is too big for one person. It needs someone who understands healing, who sees the value in all living things. What are you saying? Her heart raced. I'm saying I'd like you to stay. Not just in the cabin, but here with me. I've grown to care for you deeply these past months. Lily's breath caught. I care for you too, Finn, more than I thought possible. Then stay, marry me. We can build proper facilities for your animals, expand the herb garden, maybe even start a proper veterinary practice. You do that. Support my work with the animals. They're part of who you are. His eyes were sincere. We'll shelter them all, every stray that needs our help. Lily's eyes filled with tears as she leaned forward to press her lips against his. It was a gentle kiss, a promise of more to come. Winter brought snow and their wedding, a small affair with Finn's sister from Denver, a few ranch hands, and to everyone's surprise, Lily's mother. Martha Cooper had traveled alone by stagecoach, bringing news that George had softened somewhat in his daughter's absence, though not enough to attend himself. He's proud, Martha explained, but he keeps the letter you wrote. I've seen him reading it late at night. Spring saw the construction of proper rehabilitation enclosures beside the newly expanded ranch house. Word spread about the animal doctor at Patterson Ranch, and soon local farmers were bringing injured livestock for Lily's care. By summer, Shadow was ready for release. They took him deep into the national forest, to an area where a wolf pack had been spotted. Lily removed his collar with trembling hands. Go well, my friend, she whispered. They watched from horseback as Shadow hesitated, looked back once, then loped into the trees, his previously injured leg strong and sure. It never gets easier, Lily said, wiping away tears. No, Finn agreed, but it's right. Just as it was right for you to save him, and right for me to give you shelter. Our shelter, she corrected with a smile. Our shelter, he agreed, leaning over to kiss her, for all creatures that need healing. 2 years later, as autumn painted the Colorado landscape in red and gold, Lily stood on the porch of Patterson Ranch, her hand resting on her swollen belly. The wildlife sanctuary had grown, with proper facilities, and even an apprentice from town who came 3 times weekly to learn Lily's methods. Finn rode in from the pasture, dismounting with easy grace despite the years of ranch work evident in his weathered face. He crossed to her, placing his hand over hers on her belly. How are my girls today? He asked, kissing her cheek. Active, Lily laughed as the baby kicked. She'll be running with the wolf pups before we know it, speaking of which. Finn gestured toward the tree line. Lily gasped as a familiar gray form emerged from the shadows. Shadow had returned periodically over the years, sometimes alone, sometimes with members of his pack hovering at the forest edge. Today he stood watching them, his amber eyes wise and wild. He remembers, she whispered. Of course he does. Finn wrapped his arm around her shoulders. You gave him life, just as you've brought life to this ranch. As the sun set behind the mountains, casting long shadows across the land they had built together, Lily reflected on the journey that had brought her here from a girl banished for her compassion to a woman celebrated for it, with a husband who understood her heart and a community that respected her skills. Shadow raised his head and howled, a sound of freedom and belonging that echoed through the valley. Somewhere in the forest his pack answered. Listen, Finn said softly, they're all calling you home. Lily smiled, leaning into his embrace. I am home, she said. Right here with you, beneath our roof that shelters all.